If you like the look of dreadlocks, but you'd like to do something a little bit more temporary, you can create a full ponytail piece from your double-ended dreads. You will need elastic strapping, needle and thread, a comb clip, scissors, rubber bands, and of course, your double-ended dreads. The first thing you're going to do is cut a strip of elastic that's about a foot, foot and a half wide. So about there. Next, secure the ends of the elastic to something that won't move. We're going to be creating 3 layers of elastic with dreads on them. So this first piece is going to create our bottom base layer. So for my bottom base layer, I'm going to keep it fairly dark. I'm going to use mostly black dreads, maybe with 1 or 2 blondes. As I move up the layers, I'm going to have more blonde so that the blonde is more dominant on my top layer. To start this, simply take a dread, wrap it around your elastic, and rubber band it into place. The nice thing about using rubber bands on this is it creates a nice temporary ponytail. So if you ever did want to install these double enders later, you simply clip those rubber bands and you're ready to install. Continue adding dreadlocks and rubber banding them into place until you have a piece that is about 4 to 5 inches wide. This will be my last dread on this layer. Okay, and as you can see, the dreads have been spaced out a little bit to make this layer not super dense. We're going to take an elastic and measure it so that it's just slightly wider than this middle space, and we're going to tie it on either side of your amount. Okay, you want to tie those down pretty tight. And then we're going to go ahead and clip the ends off. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is add our second layer of dreads. This is the middle section, so I'm going to add a few more blondes than I did on the bottom. Not too many, but just a few. Okay, with that layer done, the next is we're gonna add one more layer right over the top of that. So again, cut your elastic a little bit wider than your bottom section and knot it on either side. Okay, with this being our top layer, I'm going to add in the majority of our highlight color. Okay, now we've got our 3 layers of dreads. From here, we are going to do our last step, which is stitching these pieces together and sewing on our metal stability clip. Okay, the first step to sewing this together is to take the layers and make sure that they are going to stay stacked on top of each other. So take your sewing needle, and typically you would want to use the same color thread as you have for your elastic or your hair color, and not a contrasting color. So this is just to show you the difference. Okay, I'm gonna sew up through the layers and then back down. I'm going to try to avoid going through the dreads so that later I can just clip the rubber bands, but it doesn't really matter because you could just take the whole thread out as well. But just to make it a little bit simpler for me to get my doubles back out of this, I'm going to try to avoid them. So going back up through my dreads, or through the elastics rather, in between the dreads. Going through all 3 pieces of elastic. Okay, once I've got my layers stacked together and sewn, I'm just simply going to tie off my thread. And the next step is to stitch on my stability clip. I'm going to push these dreads down so that it has a nice angle to it at the top. And I'm going to take this clip and try to sew it to the underside of my topmost layer. So what that looks like is that when it lays on the head, you want that topmost layer to be kind of tapering the other ones down and out. So to make this easier for myself, I'm going to start the thread on the clip. So I've got it secured there. And I'm going to go up through the elastic on my top layer. I'm just going to go around my clip with the thread and back through that elastic. And again, I'm going to try to avoid the dreads in the process so that I don't have to try to cut the thread off later. Okay, now I'm going to go around the clip and up through a different section in the elastic. Once you get to the end of your clip, go ahead and secure your thread, clip it away, and you are ready to go. This piece has a nice finished fullness because of your layered height. It has a nice tapered interior, which will help cover your bun underneath, and it has these elastic straps that'll help hold it into place. So in order to wear this piece, simply put your hair into a bun, slide the comb underneath your bun, and secure the 2 straps by tying them underneath, and you're ready to hit the town.